The weekend, I think, is an opportunity for a different team to take center stage. Now, it's an opportunity for them to take center stage, but they have to go seize it. It's not the spotlight's turning immediately. And that'd be the NC State men's basketball team, who is playing at number 10 Kansas.
The Fog.
They are stepping up to the big boys this weekend against number 10 in the country, Kansas. Now, there's a few reasons why this game can be a real big one. First of all, State needs a big non-conference win, and this is their last chance to do it. Second of all, I love a common opponent. Kansas, and credit to them, they're not afraid of a non-conference schedule. They beat UNC in the second game of the year. They beat Duke in Vegas, and now they're looking to complete the triangle trifecta playing against NC State right at the beginning of conference play.
I was also going to mention, until you said triangle trifecta, which I like the word in there, don't forget about UNCW.
Don't forget about UNCW.
Our folks down there in the 910.
Although I wouldn't, no offense to UNCW, I wouldn't put that in the same category as like tough non-conference schedule and going out and facing everybody. I don't know, just count Final Fours or something like that, and then it's not me making an opinion based; it's me making a fact based statement.
Okay, fair enough.
Kansas provides a challenge that doesn't really exist in the ACC this year, which is a true back to the basket center. If you look at the best teams in the ACC, they don't have that true offensive threat. Obviously, Duke is common malawash. That's he's big, but he's not really back to the basket. He's more springy and athletic. Shefflin at Clemson is a big boy, but he's a grinder and a dirty work guy and a rebounder more so than he is a scorer down low. You might say Raynaud from Stanford is the best example, but I don't think anyone in the ACC is going to be afraid of Stanford anytime soon. So State gets their look at Hunter Dickinson. State gets their look at AJ Storrs. State gets their look at a different type of elite basketball team ahead of conference play. And if they win, you get a little bit of bragging rights, right? You get to look at the other teams in the triangle and UNCW and say, "Oh, you guys struggled with them, huh? We made it happen."
It's also one of those games, if you're NC State, it adds on to the rematch against Purdue over the Thanksgiving break. It also adds to Texas in the SEC-ACC Challenge. But, as you mentioned, this is a true road test for NC State going against the number 10 team in the country. These are the kind of games that you put on your schedule after you played in a Final Four because you're expected to ramp up the non-conference schedule a little bit.
Bringing up last year is an interesting point because obviously last year for NC State was magical. Do you know what else it was? Wildly unlikely. One thing, one ball bounces 1% different, 1 degree differently, and none of it happens. You don't want to put yourself into a situation every single year where you need that magic to go on a run or to exceed your expectations. The most obvious way to not put yourself where you need to go on a run like last year is to win this game. If you win this one, you get a top of the resume, big win. If you're on the bubble, this could be the tiebreaker. If you don't win this game, you need to win, 14, 15 ACC games or the ACC tournament like you did last year. You start painting yourself into a smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller area where those are the only ways to end up in the NCAA tournament or a high seed in the NCAA tournament. And so that's all just the schedule portion of it. That's what whoever decides who they get to play, when they get to play them, that was all done by that person. For the team, you need the vets to respond to the call out. There's, going back to last year, for all of the struggles that Kevin Keatts and that team had throughout the regular season, it did feel like Kevin Keatts had a good pulse of the team. Right? They didn't win every game, but it felt like he knew what buttons to push. And to his credit, starting about, I would say, halfway through the season, he started throwing things at the wall. He started trying new things and shuffling through them until eventually, at the last possible second, they figured out a way that clicks for them. After their most recent game, okay, in the post-game media availability, which is always a dangerous time to do anything unusual because you haven't really had a lot of time to think about it. Kevin Keatts called out 2 names. So basically said our older guys, our veterans, have to start playing better. Brandon Huntley-Hatfield and Michael O'Connell. He called them by names. He jokingly said, maybe I'm going to have to tell Mike it's March. And the reason why I said that is because Michael O'Connell played so well during that magical run last year that Keatts was like, hey, maybe I just tell him it's March and the lights are on brightest and he'll play better. We get to see how much Kevin Keatts is connected, right? We get to see how much Kevin Keatts is locked into the pulse of this team. Did that little bit of coaching to the media work? Because there are, and I know everybody out there, the old school sports fans, you want everybody to be to the point where they want to get coached hard and they want Bear Bryant yelling in their face and then they dig in and work harder. And not everybody's built that way. Some people respond to the public call out. Some people get mad or go in the tank or curl up into a shell after the public call out. And it's up to a coach to know how to motivate a player.
This is almost, it feels like, been a recurring theme for Kevin Keatts at the start of the season, because I'm reminded after the exhibition game that they only won by 2 points, he called out Ben Middlebrooks. He said they had to sit down with Ben Middlebrooks in practice. He's done the same thing with Jaden Taylor. He's done the same thing with Dontre Styles. And following those kind of one-on-one interactions, credit to those players, they've gone on to have pretty successful games in their next showing.
Even that, though, is a little different, right? Because there's a difference between the sit down privately that you tell us about after they've turned it around.
Okay, yeah.
It's when this is the catalyst, it's you're saying, all right, this, and usually veterans are better at this, right? They can hear some negative press and not go in the tank. I want to see Michael O'Connell and Brandon Huntley-Hatfield against Kansas. And I'm not asking Michael O'Connell to score 15. Sometimes, most of the time, that's not his game. I'm asking him to be, and I don't know a better way to describe this. I'm asking him to be the guy who can take the ball at the top of the key, carry it like a football, right? And I'm saying not moving. I'm just saying tuck it under his arm, right, like a loaf of bread, and then put his palm down with the opposite hand and tell everybody else to chill. Because there will be times you're going to be in a raucous road environment against a very good team. They're going to have their runs. There will be times when things feel like they're getting away from you, and O'Connell has to be the one to bring it in. Calling out Brandon Huntley-Hatfield right before you play a team like Kansas with the bigs they have, I know what I want to see from him.
Yep.
Battle. I know and Middlebrooks as well. I want to see them battle down low.
Dirty work down low in the trenches.
Don't get pushed around.
Crash the boards.
If you see those two things, then I'm right back where I was last year with Kevin Keatts going, all right, they may not be a fully finished product. They might not have everything figured out, but he knows what makes these guys tick, and it's a matter of time. Will it be too late? That's the measure of the whole game or the whole season, but he knows what makes them tick. For those of you that haven't heard it yet, I'll give you one of my favorite sayings, which is the bear or the hare. One of my college coaches told me about it, and it was how he thought of not coaching everyone the same. In the metaphor, everyone's a fox. Every player is a fox. Some are motivated by the hare, the rabbit ahead of them. They are chasing the good, right? They got to go eat the rabbit. That's how they run the fastest. Some are motivated by the bear chasing them. They got to get the heck out of there. That's the guy who you need to yell at. That's who you need to coach hard. Some, after a good play, praise him. Way to go. Some, after a bad play, scream at him. Everyone's motivated differently, and if as a coach you can identify that quickly and you can use that to your advantage, your season has a much higher ceiling. So after a closer than it should be game against Coppin State, when the coach calls out two veterans, I'm going, all right, he thinks they're motivated by the bear chasing them, and the coach has to be the bear in the media. Now we get to see if he's right. And then you might get a top 10 victory. Are you the underdog? Yes. Are the chances unlikely? Vegas and all the analysts would say yes. But if you get the win, could be a season changer.
You know who I'm really excited to see play in an environment like this, Tim? Marcus Hill. And I know he's been the hot hit in the past two games alongside Dontre Styles, but when I spoke with Marcus Hill at NC State's press availability during the summer, he talked about how playing at the national junior college level and at Bowling Green, he was talking about when he was playing in the JUCO days, all they had was a Dollar General in the town that he was playing at. And he wanted to have so much pride playing for NC State, playing in a city like Raleigh. So I can't wait to see what Marcus Hill, a guy who led all national junior college during his time, I think, at Southern Union Community College in Mississippi, play in the fog, play on the road against a top 10 opponent, and coming off two games where he's kind of started to establish himself as the X factor on this team. I think Marcus Hill could have a baller game this Saturday.
This is what you want. This is why you're here.
This is why you transferred to the ACC.
Are you going to be nervous, or are you going to be, be thriving in this environment. I mean, it's why you go to schools like State. It's why you go to schools like all the ones here in the Triangle, because you're going to play in big games.